Hi everyone, welcome to day 10 of the NaPoWriMo Poetry Challenge. Day 10 actually means if you're doing this in real time, you are 1/3 of the way done. So congratulations. And let's get into today's poem. Okay, so here we go. This is a poem by Ted Kooser, even though it's not, you can't see it here, but this is a poem that has been with me for a while. So here we go. This is called Skater. She was all in black, but for a yellow ponytail that trailed from her cap, and bright blue gloves that she held out wide, the feathery fingers spread, as surely she stepped click-clack onto the frozen top of the world. And there, with a clatter of blades, she began to braid a loose path that broadened into a meadow of curls. Across the ice, she swooped and then turned back and halfway bent her legs and leapt into the air the way a crane leaps, blue gloves lifting her lightly, and turned a snappy half turn there in the wind before coming down, arms wide, skating backward right out of that moment, smiling back at the woman she'd been just an instant before. All right, that was Ted Kooser, everyone. So, thinking about this wonderful little poem from the book Delights and Shadows, which I have here with me, let's write. Let's write together. So, actually, I'm going to remember to read the mantra before we get writing. So I invite you on this day, wherever you are, to simply listen to these words and intentionally, consciously ask yourself to get into the writing zone with me here. So I am here and present with my experiences. I am grounded and open. I have unlimited access to the infinite flow of creativity always around me. Whatever happens on these pages is what's meant to happen. I'm not judging myself or my writing, I'm just writing. I have everything I need to begin already inside of me. I'm settling in and I'm ready to write. Okay, so now that we're in the zone, let's go ahead and check it out. April 10th. It's a Saturday. So if you're doing this in real time, happy weekend. Looking at The Skater by Ted Kooser. Okay, so in this poem, we see this beautiful snapshot of this woman skating. And I would like you to think about how in the poem it's specifically focused on one moment, like a photograph, like a snapshot in time. And I want you to think about in your free write, so just whatever comes to mind. Think of a special or important event in your life that you'd like to cherish forever, or it could be just a regular moment that you really enjoy. When you're in the flow state, when you feel good, we want to get into that feeling good state in your memory brain and think of one moment, or it could be multiple, but we're trying to go for one moment and explore everything about it. Lean into the memory, whatever it is. Describe it, feel it. Again, it can be commonplace or it can be grand, a grand moment. It's up to you. Just thinking about an enjoyable moment, and then just free write the moment, live it from start to finish. What does it feel like, look like, describe it, and think about how the moment unfolds in time. So give yourself a few minutes to do that, 5 minutes or so, and then come back. Okay, now I hope that was enjoyable. That's a really nice, fun, feeling good free write. Now look back and consider if you had to choose one moment from, like, a micro moment from this event, to capture, which moment would it be? Like if you were to just look at 1 second, a single second in time, from this free write, just look back and underline it, highlight it, star it, something. Just kind of get that moment in mind. Okay, now that you have your 1 second of time in mind, as if it's a photograph, imagine you can see it, just that 1 second, like a still frame. And just add any other details that might come to you in that one moment. Imagine you can see sort of the panorama view of that moment in time. You can see your environment, you can see the colors, the textures, you can hear, smell, touch things in that 1 second. What's in that 1 second of time that you can see in your mind's eye? People, angles, like objects, whatever it is, and just make a quick list. Get some words down that you wanna think about. So, and then come back. Oops. Okay, putting it all together. Try and write a poem in which you capture this 1 second of time like it's a photograph, and as if it's just sort of frozen in time, and you can draw the moment out on the page. Thinking about this prompt as sort of a time prompt. How does time work in writing? And how can you manipulate time with poetry? So in the poem we saw, The Skater, we see time in that one moment. She takes the leap and then she looks back at the moment, at the woman she just was. So thinking about that sort of technique, learning from Ted Kooser, try writing this poem however you like, but you might want to consider, what events led directly up to this 1 second of time, what happened directly after, what changed in this 1 second of time, in your life, your personal experiences. And this is just a nice prompt to slow down on your Saturday morning or whatnot with your luxurious time that you have here to write. Or it can be super quick. So it's up to you. But slow down, even if it's 5 minutes, slow down in that 5 minutes and have it this moment deeply and just see what happens on the page. So have fun with that. And then if you want to come back, we'll talk about Ted Kooser briefly. Alrighty. Hope that was fun. I love this poem from Ted Kooser. Like many of his poems, this poem is so profound and memorable to me, and yet so simple, seemingly simple in its language and construction, very conversational, as if he's just, telling it to you this moment, like you're sitting next to him. There's not a lot of flourish, there's not a lot of poetic, acrobatics. Of course, there's craft and technical skill. It's very, very tightly crafted, but it's so tightly crafted in a way that it doesn't really hit you over the head with it, and that's what I really admire about a lot of Kooser's poetry. It is, as one critic has said, it is never Kooser never makes an illusion that an intelligent but unbookish reader will not immediately grasp. So he's not the type of poet where you need to have like read everything in order to understand what sort of conversations he's having with the world. Like he's not giving you a whole bunch of ancient Greek references. What he does so well, in my opinion, is capture these small moments in time, like we saw, in a really deep and profound way. Anyway, so Ted Kooser, it was born in 1939, and he's still just writing poems and teaching. And I just followed him on his Facebook page that he just started, and that's pretty exciting. So if you haven't done that, FYI, you can be Facebook friends with Ted Kooser. I don't know how I feel about the word accessible in poetry. Like I don't know. I'm not giving it a positive or negative spin, although it can be taken in different ways. But I would say that Kooser is a very accessible poet. So, like thinking about his, this critic is saying he's unlike most of his peers. He writes naturally for a non-literary public. That is something I find wonderful and fascinating. So I know I shared Bukowski earlier, and Bukowski's style also I feel is written for the public, for non-literary audience. I like both. I mean, I like it all, but I think that what Ted Kooser accomplishes, as this critic from Poetry Foundation article says, his style is accomplished but extremely simple. His diction drawn from common speech, his syntax conversational, and his subjects tend to be uh, the everyday world. Oh my gosh, this is one of the things I super love, why I'm so attracted to his writing, is small but genuine insights into the world of everyday experience. So I'm really interested right now in the everyday and the mundane and the magic in the tiny moments of life, the regular boring moments of life. And I think that's what attracts me so much to Kooser. So he was the U.S. Poet Laureate in 2004. You might have already known that. He's won a bunch of prizes, including the Pulitzer Prize. But this is interesting. I'm learning about a lot of these poets that I personally admire. A lot of them are working class or have regular jobs. Like Ted Kooser was an insurance company person, worked with an insurance company for a long time. And interestingly, in the bio, he would write from about 5:30 a.m. to 7 each morning before he went to the office. And that strikes me because I've been waking up super early and doing a lot of work early in the morning. And I remember when I was in the audience at the Pen America Emerging Voices info session before I got the fellowship, I wanted to learn about it. And I remember asking one of the fellows who had like a full-time job doing something or other. And I was like, wait a minute. So you have a full-time job and how do you do the writing part? How do you do all of the intense research, reading, writing, like all of it? It's like, now I know being a writer is a full-time job. So how do you have a full-time job on top of your full-time job? And she was like, well, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. And at the time I was like, oh my God, that sounds like so much work. And it is. I can speak now. That was about 6 years ago. I can speak now to the fact that it is so much work, unless you have some sort of, support, spousal support or family support or fellowships. Dude, that's why writers apply for fellowships and grants, because that's what is required. Living the writer's life every day. So on that note, bringing it back around, you are living the writer's life every day, especially during the month of April, if you are playing along. So that's what it takes, right? We do it because we love it. Writing is a part of us. Or if you're new to the writing lifestyle, I've been in a poetry therapy conference for the last couple of days, and there is just so much I could say about the power of poetry and language to help us connect to ourselves, even if it feels like a lot of work. Because I'll admit, sometimes I get real tired and I'm doing too much and I edge into burnout. But I always bring myself back around because I remember why I'm doing this, and it's essential. It's necessary. I truly believe if everyone were to write a little bit every once in a while, to journal even during, to journal during times of crisis, to have the habit of writing during times of crisis, it is such an effective therapeutic technique, in addition to being obviously some of us as artists our tool. But even if you don't consider yourself an artist necessarily, writing is such a great way to connect to your experiences and to process them. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I could go on about that because my head's all full right now. But Kooser also wrote the wonderful craft book, Poetry Home Repair Manual. I have it on my shelf. I've read it, I've taught a little bit from it. It's wonderful, highly recommend. Very easy, like easy to read, accessible. Poetry Home Repair Manual. Anyway, let's close with a quote from Kooser himself. And he says, I write for other people with the hope that I can help them to see the wonderful things within their everyday experiences. In short, I want to show people how interesting the ordinary world can be if you pay attention. And I think that's what poetry is really all about. I mean, we're writing when we sit down to the page, but really the power of poetry comes from fine tuning our ability to pay attention to the world, our interests in the world around us. So I hope this prompt was interesting, and I hope that you simply indulge your senses in paying attention to the everyday, ordinary, mundane world around you so that you may see and experience the magic of life. All right, see you tomorrow.